What's up everybody? It's Ben from GameDay Competitions, coming to you live from the shoe cam. We're doing a quick rundown of some movement standards for this coming weekend, the GameDay Championships in the city. So, event 1, we're starting on a rower. This is for individuals. Judges, we're going to show you how to set this up the day of, so we're not going to run through any of that stuff right now. Rowing is pretty simple, everybody knows what the rules are here. The athlete can be seated in this position and strapped on, however cannot have the handles in their hands. So, 3, 2, 1, go. Joe grabs the handle, he can start rowing. Beautiful job. We're not going to go no rep people on that row unless they grab the handle before that. I don't think it would be an issue. So, and again, we'll show you guys how to set this up day of. What's up guys? Here we're talking about event 2, the handstand walk. We got Joe here, ever so lovely. He's going to demonstrate for us. When you start this, 3, 2, 1, kick up. Both of Joe's feet must be behind this line before he kicks off. We're going to have 10 feet increments set up, and it has to be a 10-foot handstand walk, unbroken, before you can move on to the next one. So, 3, 2, 1, Joe's going to kick up. Walk on his hands. Beautiful job. He made it 10 feet. He gets to start the next line and kick up again, or continue to keep going. Either way is fine. Just key points, making sure that the feet start behind this line. And if Joe does not make it to the next 10-foot mark, he starts back at the original line. So, hope this helps. We'll talk soon. Okay, so this is an example of a no rep. If Joe attempts this and his foot starts over the line and kicks in, that will be a no rep and he'll be called back to the original line. Both feet must start behind that line, but the hands can land in front of the line to initiate the handstand walk. Coming across the 10-foot marker, when Joe reaches both hands in front of this line, then he's able to keep moving on, even if his feet land on this side. But both hands must pass the 10-foot marker before he can continue on to the next 10 feet. So, Joe kicks up, he's walking, both hands, feet down. He's able to start there for the next set, or for the next 10 feet, excuse me, just as long as both hands are over. If even his palm is behind that line, he will be called back to the original 10-foot marker. This is the exact same thing. Scale is going to look a lot the same way. You guys are going to do axle bar overhead walks. And so all the same rules apply. Joe's going to initiate this barbell movement by cleaning the bar up, locking out over the top of his head before he crosses his line. Then he can walk through the line. If Joe is walking and coming up the next line and he cleans it while stepping over that line, like this, without it locked down over his head, he would be called back to the original position. As Joe's walking, he's coming up to his next 10-foot line. Both feet must clear that line before he can drop that barbell or take a rest. But to initiate that movement again, he must start behind this line and have it locked down over his head before he can continue to move. Moving on to event 3, the deadlift ladder for individuals, both RX and scale. We're going to perform what we're looking for first, and then talk about a couple of no reps. So, Joe initiates his deadlift. He's up, good rep. A couple of things we're looking for. The hip, knee, and ankle are all locked out. The shoulder is behind the barbell. Doesn't have to be way extended by any means, just as long as that shoulder is behind the barbell, he's in a good position, completely locked out all the way up. Go ahead and initiate a couple bad ones, Joe. Here we see that his hip and knee are not locked out, so in this position he would be at a no rep, he's not completely locked out. As the barbell returns back down on the ground from the locked out position, Joe is all the way locked out, good rep, he's coming back down. If the plates do not simultaneously touch the floor, we're going to call that a no rep. So making sure that that bar comes down fluidly, touches both, comes back up, good rep. This deadlift ladder is a 5-rep touch and go ladder, and so we're going to talk a little bit about what touch and go means. When he initiates the movement, as soon as he locks out, takes that first pull, he can rest up top, but he cannot rest at the floor. So as soon as he goes down, he must return back up. Good. Just making sure that he's not resting at the bottom of this, and it only rests at the top.
So that's a no rep.
That would be a no rep.
That's about good.
Good reps. Talking about event 4 here, we got burpees and front squats for both divisions. So, as Joe comes running down the lane, there'll be a white marker that his feet must pass before he can initiate his burpee. So, Joe's running down, both feet pass, now he does his burpee, chest touches the floor, not the plate, and it cannot be behind the white line. Now he comes back up, his feet can be behind the white line then, however. Just as long as when he runs over the line, his feet are past it. As long as he's kicked out here, this is a good rep. He kicks back up. Now both feet must touch the plate, and then he can return down to the other side and do the same thing. So there's going to be burpees taking place on both ends of the lane each time. So a bad rep looks something like this. Joe comes in, his feet don't pass the line, and he starts his burpee. This burpee will not be counted, and he has to start back at the other side. If Joe comes through, makes it past the white line, however his chest hits the plate as he goes down, this will be a no rep as well. So that chest must touch the ground, and as he runs past this white line, both of his feet must pass the white line before he can start his burpee. So for the front squat portion of this, Joe's going to go ahead and grab a hold of that bar. You can squat clean your first rep if you'd like. A couple of things we're looking for, just making sure that the crease of the hip is below the top of the knee at the bottom. Go ahead and squat Joe. He's at full depth. As he comes back up, again looking for that locked out position, his hips, his knees, making sure that he's all the way up. If that hip is back just a little bit, it'll be considered a no rep. We want to make sure that everybody's all the way up, all the way down. As far as front rack goes, Joe can do his traditional front rack or is able to cross over. Either one is acceptable in this movement. A couple of bad reps might look like this. Joe's not going to hit depth this time, so making sure that again, that crease of the hip is below the top of the knee is very critical for this. Also, as Joe squats down, maybe he hits depth, but does not make it all the way to full extension. Notice his butt's out. He's got a little J-Lo booty going on here. So we want to make sure that he's all the way up and all the way down. Okay, so moving on to event 5. We're going to talk about the double under portion and the single under portion of event 5. We all know what double unders are, making sure that every one jump includes 2 rotations on that jump rope. If I can give you some tips as far as counting judges, just making sure that you're nodding your head maybe to keep track of where the rope is at, and watching the feet is usually a very, very critical portion of this. So Joe's just going to do a couple double unders so we know what we're talking about. Very good, Joe. Moving on to single unders, a couple of questions usually come up. Can we do double unders instead of single unders? No, you must do single unders, and they must be 2 feet at a time, just as if you were doing double unders, just with 2 feet bouncing. Nice awkward jump, Joe. Please make sure that's in there. Also, one of the other things that's going to be considered a no rep in this competition is if Joe isn't hitting both feet simultaneously on the floor. Go ahead and Joe, show us what we're talking about here. Kind of hopping back and forth, kind of the boxer stance. Our goal here is to make sure that everybody has an even playing field, so we want to make sure that we're going to keep both of those feet together, doing the hop as you go through the jump rope. Moving on to the power clean portion of this workout. Coming from the ground is where this barbell will be rested. Go ahead, Joe, show us a couple good reps, and then we'll dissect. A couple of no reps might look something like this. So a couple of things we're looking for. One, obviously the bar is going to leave from the ground. Coming up, that elbow clears the barbell. So if you're catching the rack behind in this position, that would be considered a no rep. Also, making sure that you're not catching in a squat, because this is a power clean. Joe, show us a couple of squat cleans that will not be accepted as a power clean. So if the crease of the hip goes below the knee, that's considered a squat clean. We want to make sure that you're only staying in the power position, staying above that crease of the hip below the top of the knee. One other thing, Joe's going to show maybe not finishing the movement, and it'll look something like this. Joe's hips are not extended at the top. We want to make sure, just like the squat, that we're fully extended at the top of this position with elbows in front of the bar, everything's locked out, and then you can initiate your next power clean. Looking at event 5 here, we're talking about pull-ups and chest-to-bar pull-ups. So RX, you guys are doing chest-to-bars, and scale, you guys are doing pull-ups. Good reps look like such on a pull-up. Strict or fine. Kipping or butterfly will also be accepted. As long as that chin goes over the bar and he's at full extension at the bottom, will be considered good reps. Bad rep would be if the chin did not go over the bar or the arm does not reach full extension at the bottom. For RX, you guys are looking at chest-to-bar pull-ups, so we all know the rules of chest-to-bar pull-ups, making sure that that bar touches below the clavicle on the body, on the chest, excuse me. And so, same rules apply. Make sure you have full extension at the bottom and touching the pull-up bar as you address the pull-up bar at the top. Good reps look like this. Butterfly, kipping, and strict are all allowed. Event 6 has some wall balls in it, and so we're going to briefly talk about the wall ball. But the wall ball will be rested in the rest position underneath the plate, underneath the target. So Joe's going to go ahead and demonstrate a couple good reps, and then we're going to talk about bad reps. Making sure that Joe hits full depth on his squat is obviously the most important part here. Crease the hip below the top of the knee, going up, and that wall ball must touch the target. Ladies, you're shooting till 9 feet. Guys, you're shooting till 10 feet. The wall ball must hit the target for the rep to count. So a couple of bad reps look something like this. Maybe Joe doesn't hit that target quite, and the ball is away from the target. Maybe Joe doesn't hit full depth, or the target Joe doesn't hit the target. God damn, which one are you to do? Listen to me, damn it. Listen to what I'm saying now. If Joe does not catch this wall ball and lets it bounce back up to him to initiate the next motion, we're going to demonstrate one for you. It will be considered a no rep. So go ahead, Joe, give us a couple. This will be considered a no rep. Moving on to event 6, we're going to really briefly cover the shoulder overhead motion. Joe's going to go ahead and clean this bar up. The starting position in the front rack. Moving over your head, you get to push, press, or push, jerk, split jerk, whatever's up to you. It's completely up to you. Shoulder overhead motion. Things we're looking for. Completely locked out overhead, both elbow, shoulder, knee, and hip. Everything's locked out. Coming back down, starting back in that front rack. Again, Joe's going to do another one. He's completely locked out. Those are good reps. A bad rep. Maybe the hips aren't all the way open. And he stops and brings the bar back down. So really make sure that you're fully extended again at the locked out position over the top of your head. Alright, on event 6, we have a toe to bar and or knee raise, depending on which division you're in. So RX, you guys are doing toes to bar. Open standards are what we're following. So Joe jumps up, shows us a couple good reps. His heel starts behind the pull bar, and both toes must touch between his hands when he reaches the pull-up bar. A couple bad reps. Maybe his heels don't pass the pull-up bar on the back side of full extension. That would be considered a no rep. Also, maybe his hands or his feet do not touch between his hands. Please don't do that. Another one might be not touching the pull-up bar with his toes. Those will also be considered a no rep. The last no rep that we'll call will be if both toes do not simultaneously touch the pull-up bar at the same time. So it's a double kick there. Moving on to the scale division for event 6, we have hanging knee raises, and this is what your standard looks like. At full extension, Joe's heels must be behind the pull-up bar. Coming up, his knee must be atop of the crease of his hip, just like your squat would be. So these are a couple good reps. A couple bad reps look like this. His knee's not reaching above the crease of his hip, or his heel's not going behind the pull-up bar to start with. Both sides of the barbell must touch the ground. God, I can't even do this.
It's pretty talented.
Seriously. Alright, now. Fuck. Who is gonna fucking do that?
Well, it won't be that, but it'll be the